Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for joining me on this Thursday afternoon. I hope you are having a great day and hope that this opportunity to spend some time with you provides you with some fruitful information. I do appreciate having you here with me, and I look forward to spending a little bit of time helping you unpack online businesses for sale. That's the topic of our conversation, the beginning of a series of learning sessions that I'm going to be providing for people who are interested in owning their own business. So again, thank you for taking the time. I appreciate the fact that you're giving me 20, 30 minutes of your valuable afternoon and look forward to providing you with some great ideas, great thoughts, and some downloadable freebies at the end of this call. I also want to remind folks that I will be taking questions if you have any. And I will answer those questions at the end of the webinar. So stick around, please. If you've got some questions, happy to talk to you then, as well as happy to reach out to you with additional questions, thoughts, ideas you have, and happy to discuss those with you. So to begin with, I want to share with everybody that nobody comes to this place of buying a business in the exact same way. Some people have already been business owners. Some people are going to be business owners for the first time. Some people are ready to buy now, and some people are going to be ready to buy in a year or two or three. The good news is I'm not going anywhere. So if a business is in your future in the next 20 years, we are very patient and here for you whenever the time hits that it's a good time for you. I typically like to tell people that a 6 to 9 month time frame is a great time frame to go from thinking about wanting to own a business to when you're really ready to open that business. So let's talk about what happens to folks when they're interested in buying a business. Typically, they do one of two things. Online, they'll go and find local business brokers in their area or look at business for sale websites. And typically what you're going to find on those websites is price and industry, which is great because that's what a lot of people are actually looking for. How much is this business and what business is it? Now, what people most often hope to find is a business that has a retiring owner, hasn't had somebody that they found to buy the business. It's making $100,000 and selling for somewhere between $200,000 and $300,000. Or there's a business that's doing okay. The owner just hasn't put as much effort and tender love and care as they need, and they'd like to take it over and really boost the business. Now, what do actually people find when they go online? They don't find those pot of golds at the end of the rainbow. And there's a reason why you don't find those pot of golds at the end of the rainbow, and that has to do with the quality of the owner who's selling the business. For businesses that find their way online, those business owners typically aren't very good businesses, so they don't have a succession plan. That's why they don't have anybody to sell it. Good business owners have a succession plan, and typically they're going to sell it to a friend, a family member, a vendor, or a competitor. Average business owners are going to turn towards a business broker to help them sell because they haven't found somebody prior. Now, what do you find, right? When you're looking online and you've got a seller who's got a business and they don't have anyone to buy, typically, if it's a mom and pop business, you've got a 98% chance of not having accurate financial data. The business is going to be priced from a past history, not a recent history. There's typically not going to be very much information. You're going to be trained by an owner who's either average or okay, and you should expect in that first year of buying the business to lose between 15 and 30% of your clients. Why? Because those clients were loyal to the prior owner, and the fact that he's no longer there means they can shop from someone else. They have no loyalty to you, so there's no guarantee that those accounts will stay in place. Therefore, whatever you bought the business for might be worth less within a year unless you do a lot of business development on your own. Now, typically the mom and pop businesses are going to be represented by business brokers, local people in the area. Those brokers, like all brokers, wind up having somewhere between 100 buyers to each seller, which means that very few people actually close on transactions. So a lot of business brokers just aren't going to be all that responsive to you. They're also a seller broker, not a buyer broker, which means that whatever limited time they have is going to be geared towards working with the seller, not with the buyer. So that's typically what you're going to find in a mom and pop resale online. The other thing you'll find online are franchise resales. Some of those resales are going to be also represented by local business brokers, but far more of them are going to be represented by franchise brokers or franchise consultants. Now, the difference between the mom and pop and a franchise resale is franchise businesses have a 90% chance of having accurate financial data. Also, because they're franchises, you get trained by the franchisor, not the seller, right, in order to understand how to work the business, which means you're getting competent, trusted individuals who know the business and know how to run a successful business that are there to train you. There's also, with a franchise business, a proven model, which takes some of the guesswork out of what it is you need to do, and it provides some security and stability because people have run the business before, they've shown it to be successful, so there's a method for actually running a successful business. And lastly, when you look at a franchise business, during the due diligence process, you have an opportunity to speak with other franchisees in the system. The advantages of being able to do that is you can get a sense of what the top business owners in that franchise look like, what the middle business owners in that franchise look like, and what the bottom owners in that franchise look like. That gives you a good sense of where you'll be based on which of those three groups you connect with the most. So typically, again, on a franchise resale, there's more information as you go through the due diligence process. Now, when you're looking with a regular business broker, they're mostly looking at your financial qualifications. They don't care if there's a big fit or a good fit. With a franchise broker, they're representing the buyer and they're representing the franchisor. As a result of that, the franchise broker consultant wants to prevent everybody from wasting time. So not only are they looking for the financial qualifications, they're also looking to see whether or not the business is a good fit. Does the job description of the business owner match the things that you're looking for in running a business and owning a business? So what are your options, right? You can go look for a mom and pop business with a local broker. There are tons of restaurants, bars, convenience stores, liquor stores, gas stations, lots of those, typically because you don't have a lot of buyers for those. You can work with a local broker, find them on the internet, that's one option. Another option for those who insist on buying a great business, right, is to identify the kinds of businesses that you would like to own and start calling business owners directly. Now, what that means is you're going to pick up the phone and tell somebody you want to own their business, which means if they're going to sell it, they're probably going to sell it at a much higher premium than if they were selling it when they were ready to buy the business. So be prepared to spend, rather than maybe a 2 to 4 time multiple of cash flow plus furniture, fixtures, equipment, and inventory, somewhere upwards of 4, 5, 6, 7, or 8 times cash flow plus furniture, fixtures, equipment, and inventory. I will, as part of what we said, some downloadable tools, provide you with some questions if you decided you want to try and tackle this process by calling business owners directly and telling them you want to buy their business. A third option, okay, is working with a coach. As corporate execs and sports figures understand, they can get much higher success, better results, right, when they have someone with some knowledge and who can hold them accountable and who understands what it is they're going for. So buying a business is very similar, right, to showing up in court. Would you want to show up in court without a lawyer? Or would you want to buy a house without a real estate agent? Buying a house, showing up in court, they're fraught with risk, and so most people want somebody to help represent them. Buying a business is similarly fraught with risk. And a coach is there to prevent you from throwing money down the drain. So what are some next steps, right, to think about when looking at an online business? The first is explore the why in your search. Why are you looking for a business? And when you find a business, why do you want that kind of business and why now? As many brokers will tell you, a lot of people come to this process without having thought through the why. And it becomes very challenging for both the broker and for the buyer, and then oftentimes the seller, if there's not a really good sense of what your purpose is as a business owner. Another thing to focus on is what kind of business and why this business that you're looking at versus another business. Again, at the end of this, we're going to have some downloadable tools to help you think through some questions to ask yourself about what would be a good business for me. We're going to have those questions. We're going to have some questions in addition for you to ask sellers, whether you're calling them cold calling or you're introduced to those sellers by a broker. Some of the most important things that you want to be focused on that most people don't think about is really understanding a day in the life of the seller. What it is that they do from 8 to 5 or 9 to 5 or 10 to 6 or 10 to 11 o'clock at night. What are their challenges? What are the things they enjoy? And what are some of the things that they would do differently if they had to run the business again or were being paid as a consultant to help you run the same business? Another thing that you need to consider when looking at a business is how to value the business. What type of multiple of cash flow? What type of multiple of revenue are you going to pay for? You want to know, is this a product business that has lots of inventory, so you're purchasing assets, or is it a service business that doesn't come with a lot of assets? You also want to look for things like goodwill. Now, goodwill is a little bit tricky in terms of valuing a business because a lot of things could go into goodwill. One of the things I like to share with people that I think about is the direction in which the business is going. If the business is going on an upward trajectory, there's lots of goodwill. If the business is flatlined or the business is declining over the past 3 years, then there's certainly less goodwill to place into the value of the business. Again, we're going to have a download on Facebook and on our website for questions if you're going to directly ask a seller, to give you some sense of what it is that you need to know. I want to share lastly with folks that I love what I do. I'm around to answer questions. As I said, I'm not going anywhere. We're going to be offering another webinar December 12th at 9 a.m. Pacific time and noon Eastern time. And during that call, we're going to talk a little bit more about how to fund your business. So different methods that people have used in order to be able to purchase the business of their dreams. I want to thank you again for the time that you spend. If there are any questions that folks have out there, please go ahead and post them, and I will respond to those questions as they come in. Okay, so one question's come in that follows up on a question that I talked about in terms of time frame. And so a little clarification I'll provide for you. If you're thinking about a business that's a brick and mortar, which means you've got a lease and the landlord and there's negotiation and there might be some build out and some additional things that you need to do, you might want to add another few months to that 6 to 9 month time frame. So if you're thinking about a brick and mortar business, it might be worth your time to think about it in terms of 9 to 12 months, starting before you're ready to get a business. Okay, so we got a question about someone who's actively looking to buy a business. How can we help, and how much will your services cost? Thanks for that question. As we said, one of our most important jobs initially is to help you figure out what would be a great business for you to buy. Okay, so we work with you to understand your business preferences, management preferences, financial criteria, ideal job description, and industry preferences. We ask folks to fill out a form, which gives us an idea of what those preferences and criteria are, and then we talk through that information with you. Once we can agree on the kinds of things that we're most likely to look at, then my job is to bring to the table 4, 5, or 6 things. Some might be resales, some might be startups, but either way, whatever we bring to the table is going to fit either all or most of the criteria that you've outlined, okay? So in terms of how much does it cost to work together, there's really 2 costs. One is a upfront cost for the process of working together. That is a one-time $400 fee. The good news on that is if we actually make it to the end of the process and we do buy a business, that fee is refundable. So anybody who goes through the process with me and winds up buying a business will get that $400 fee back. Why? Because either the sellers or the franchisors or a combination of those two actually wind up paying my commission on the deal. So the potential process in working with me to most folks is free. We do, for those people who are looking to come to the country to do businesses, actually have a non-refundable fee that we charge. And again, that's in part because the time frame for working together on a business is extended based on the complications of going through a visa process as well as purchasing a business process. So it takes a little bit more time. Hope that answered that question. Next question. Andres, thanks again. You said you've contacted existing businesses and you're planning to use your 401k to finance a business. Well, that's, first of all, one of the most popular ways for folks to finance a business. The reason why, and we'll talk about this more on our next webinar around funding the business, is because you don't wind up having any debt service on top of the purchase price for the business. Because you're using your own money, right? You don't owe anybody any money except yourself. You owe yourself to pay back the money. And the way a 401k rollover is designed is you take the money out to fund the business. You take the money out to pay yourself a salary, and year over year you have a pension plan so you can contribute everything that you've taken back towards your retirement. So that's a great tool to use and something that overwhelmingly a lot of folks use when they're thinking about funding a business. It looks like that's the last of the questions that people have. Again, I'm here and available for anyone that would like to discuss their particular situation, learn a little bit more about what we do to help people through the discovery process, and then just to address a little bit more. Our job is to get you from the time that you're contacting business owners to the time that you actually close the deal. So we'll help with the financing, we'll help with the legal, we'll help with the questions to ask, who to ask, when to ask, and what it is that we need to know. And we're here to debrief the process along the way so that when you actually buy a business, you're confident, you're comfortable, and you feel really good about what it is you're doing. Again, I want to thank folks. Well, it looks like we have one more question. Okay, so for the person who's asking for a particular one-on-one session, happy to do that with you. Again, our contact information is going to be provided in the link. Just give us a call or shoot us an email. We can set up a time, and that again really goes for everybody. We're looking forward to working with whoever is out there looking to buy a business. As I said, we're not going anywhere. We'll be here for a while. And I want to wish you the best luck with your search and hope we can help. Take care and have a great rest of your Thursday. Thanks so much.